Welcome back to another episode with the Backpacking Brothers. What an incredible experience coming across a black bear sow and her two cubs, roaming the snowy woods, sniffing out a meal here in Yellowstone in the early spring. It was our final week of 3 on this trip, and we were thrilled to have finally gotten some fresh snow. We were on borrowed time, racing to capture every moment of wildlife before the snow vanished. Oh man, that was so freaking cool. Seeing that coyote out there in the snow, tossing its food in the air and hunting, that was wild. I mean, that's the kind of thing I wanted to capture before the snow melts. So heck yeah, that was so cool. All right, well, yeah, let's see what else we can find. As we made our way through the snow-covered roads, we came across a familiar sight. Beryl, the grizzly bear sow, and her two cubs were out searching for food as the snow gently fell. You may remember them from our previous vlog, and it was awesome to see them out again, but this time in these snowy conditions. Unfortunately, they were just a little too far out to get any good pics. But as luck would have it, just around the corner, we spotted a sub-adult male grizzly bear, much closer this time, and managed to capture these incredible shots. Not long after, we spotted a red fox out on the hunt. Foxes in Yellowstone have an astonishing hunting success rate of right around 60% when pouncing on small mammals. This fox was no exception, and was successful in catching what looked like a vol or a mouse. As we continued driving, we came across a classic Yellowstone bear jam. It turned out to be none other than Obsidian Sow and her 3 cubs. And these cubs, I gotta say, were absolutely adorable. At first, they stayed a little bit further away, but eventually they made their way closer to us, giving us an opportunity to get some awesome shots. The following day, we headed down to Grand Teton National Park for a few days, hoping to get some moose shots. The park was still blanketed in snow, creating a stunning backdrop. And we came across a few moose fairly quickly, which was awesome to see, but none really produced any good photos. With only a few days in the Tetons before returning to Yellowstone to wrap up our trip, we were determined to capture a solid moose shot. Next up, we had an incredible yet brief encounter with a red fox on the hunt. Further down the road, we had another quick encounter, but this time with a black bear. The next morning was a foggy one, and through the mist we caught a glimpse of two eyes staring back at us. A coyote. The encounter happened so quickly that we didn't manage to get any video, but we did capture these shots. While driving through the Tetons, we stumbled upon a herd of bighorn sheep. Bighorn sheep in Grand Teton National Park often stay at higher elevations during the winter, but move to lower areas like this in the spring for better grazing. It was incredible to watch them in their element. After the bighorn sheep, we came across a massive herd of elk. This lone male is already growing a rack, and by the fall, his antlers will be much larger, ready for the rutting season. It was amazing to see this herd out in the open, but we still hadn't captured those epic moose shots that we were hoping for in the Tetons. The next morning, as we packed up and hit the road to head back to Yellowstone, luck was on our side. Just as we left camp, we spotted a moose close to the road through the car window. This was our chance. And finally, we got them. Those epic moose shots that we'd been chasing. As we drove back into Yellowstone, we made our way to the Lamar Valley to wrap up our incredible 3-week adventure. Spring had treated us well with so many incredible encounters, but the journey wasn't over yet. We had one goal in mind: capturing shots of one of America's most iconic animals, the bison. And there's no better place for bison than the Lamar Valley. In the spring, Yellowstone's bison calves, nicknamed red dogs by locals, are just finding their footing, and we couldn't wait to capture those precious moments. Later that day, we spotted a familiar duo, a black bear sow and her cinnamon cub. We'd seen these two earlier in our trip, and here they were again, busy trying to fill up. Suddenly, something caught the cub's attention. It bolted, sprinting off into the woods.
and the sow quickly followed. At the time, we weren't sure what had spooked them, but later we found out that a grizzly bear had been spotted not too far from where they were. It was our last day in the park, and one grizzly bear had evaded us all spring, a grizzly sow known by locals as Jam. Determined to find her, we headed out to her territory in search. As we came around the turn, we saw her. There was Jam. Finally, all of our searching had paid off. Lone sow grizzlies in Yellowstone spend much of the spring searching for food, especially roots, grasses, and even small mammals, as they rebuild their strength after hibernation. Watching Jam move through her territory was incredible. Toward the end of our time with her, she began digging this massive hole. At the time, we weren't sure what she was doing, but later we learned that she had dug out and killed a marmot. Unfortunately, we left early and missed this. As we left the park that evening, we spotted a great horned owl perched in the fading light. It felt like the perfect send-off from Yellowstone, a quiet, reflective moment to close out our journey. The next day, it was time to head home, but we knew we'd be back to Yellowstone in the fall for another 3 weeks of adventure. But before that, our next vlog takes us to Lassen Volcanic National Park, where we'll search for and photograph a California black bear. So don't miss out on what's next.